What we know as crowdsourcing today was what Adam Smith did in the coffee shop in London when he wrote his famous book. So he just distributed his manuscript to the people in the coffee shop, got their feedback over a month, and then finally made his book. So a number of the concepts which have existed over 200 years have come back in a technology way right now. So experience works on word of mouth. Word of mouth can be both good and bad. In the celebrity game, almost all celebrities want word of mouth. Whether it's good or bad doesn't matter. To them, word of mouth is news. As long as they're in the news, they're fine. Okay? But for most brands and companies, word of mouth needs to be positive. A negative word of mouth has a terrible way of killing you. One of the things about experience brands is, in many situations, we go through the experience without the meaning. And I think what great experience brands do is to bring you the meaning of that experience and the meaning of the brand. And that's why they will always get positive word of mouth. Experience without meaning, I suggest to all of you, is not going to fly for any brand. So whatever experience you're delivering, please ensure that there is a meaning which the consumer can pick out of that. Without the meaning, there's no word of mouth. Next, one of the things we are realizing is very important. Design is no longer about how it looks. Design is about how it works. How it looks is an almost given. It's a pretty looking thing, has these ingredients, has these metals, has this plastic, almost a given. The key thing is how it works is just as important in design terms as how it looks. So whatever you're designing, as an event, as a brand, etc., please ask yourself, apart from pretty looking design, does it work pretty well? Okay. And many brands are recognizing that working pretty well is more important than looking pretty. Closures and bottles, every single thing. It's not easy for consumers to experience your design. So make the whole design experience very easy. There are tons of books which are going to come out in this area in the next few years, essentially led by technology. If you look at technology brands, most consumers don't want to go beyond 3 clicks. 3 is a lot actually. 1 click, can I get it? At best 2 clicks if I have a second question. So which basically means the whole machine element becomes far more intuitive in answering what the consumer experience is going to be. Okay, so very clearly, design is going to be about how it works and never about how it looks. For example, let's take 2 eras of the mobile phone industry. The first era belonged to Nokia, basically because it had the simplest user interface. Its design worked so simply that even a child or a woman or a man, wherever he or she was, didn't need a PhD. Most of the brands, you needed to figure out how the user interface worked. Let's go to Apple today in today's era. Apple, with its simplicity of apps, etc., is a huge journey. So simplicity in user interface and design is going to be one of the key success parameters, and the growth of mobility and the user interface there is going to drive a number of this simplicity elsewhere. Okay. Next, innovate the experience. All of you are in the experience business. I'll give you a simple example from KLM, which I picked a few years ago. All of us travel long distance. We get onto the plane. We don't know who the neighbor is. We don't know who's sitting across. KLM had a very simple innovation. You could, before you boarded the flight, ask for details, who's traveling, and see if you had any common interests, and agree with KLM that you could sit next to each other and have a productive flight over the next 8 or 10 hours. This is a very simple idea. Thanks to technology, you can get it to the table. Closer home, let's take IPL. IPL is a fantastic experience, a combination of Bollywood and cricket. And I believe, the first match of IPL is actually what set the tone. The first match was between KKR and Bangalore, in Bangalore. The first match, Brendan McCullum scored, I think, 150, KKR made 250. But I think what was important was the way Shah Rukh, Arjun Rampal, etc. were dancing in the aisles. That set the tone and the momentum for that experience. And as a result, we've seen many women and children come to cricket grounds, which they had never done before. That experience became more of a family fun experience as opposed to a pure cricketing experience. It just happened in front of our eyes over the last 8 years. Of course, and then we've taken it forward at many levels. If you ever go to Madison Square in New York, I think they market the experience very well. They have loyal fans, and in every match, they show the loyal fans. They show a John McEnroe, they show somebody else, they show someone else. There are people proposing to each other during the course of the match. There are children who are celebrating their birthday. The whole thing is like an outing which is a huge event and you enjoy it. Okay, so I would recommend to all of you, whatever you're doing, a wedding is a wedding is a wedding, but innovate on the experience. Okay, and there's tons and tons of word of mouth you get, positive word of mouth through the simple thing of innovating on the experience. And I think this is one thing that the whole event industry can really move up to. Okay. Next, one of the things we realize, as experience goes up, word of mouth goes up, investment comes down, loyalty goes up, involvement, the pressure to get involvement goes down. So building superior experiences at every point in the chain where the consumer interacts with your brand is the biggest opportunity for all of you. Every single activity, every single thing in the chain. Okay, so the experience is not just either in the living room or in the kitchen or in the bathroom where the consumer is experiencing your brand. It can be the whole set of activities with which the consumer interacts with you. So try and do the whole chain in a different way, and I think you'll win a lot more. Next, brands have moved from being interrupters of content. Okay, so what did we do? We had a TV program, the advertising came in, we interrupted the program. Why? Advertising paid for the program. That's the reason. So many brands have moved from being plain interrupters of content to being creators of content. The key here, of course, is you're creators of content on a screen which is 4 inches, at best a 2-inch screen. So the key thing for you to remember is how are you delivering that content to consumers via that small screen. That small screen, be it 4 inches, 5 inches or 2 inches, is going to be the costliest real estate this decade. It's going to be the costliest real estate. Most brands will want their widget or their app or their link right at the top on that screen. That's what's going to happen. All studies which have happened in the world show that if consumers have a positive experience with a brand site, consumers have a positive mobile experience with a brand, then they are likely to recommend it more. In China, if your experience with the brand on the mobile site is 96%, they recommend the brand 96% of the time. In India, it's 95 and 93. In Brazil, it's 93 and 91. The Western markets, which have had far more developed technologies, are in the ratio of 70s. In Germany, it's 70 and 61. In UK, it's about 72 and 65. So emerging economies, because the mainstay is the mobile phone today, okay, they have a lot more engagement going on. So my suggestion to all of you, generate the right content. In a digital world, your content can be available anywhere and everywhere. So in the past, let's say 10, 15 years ago, a typical brand would have one big innovation, 2 small news items, we'd clear the year by managing that and hopefully deliver growth. Today in a digital world, consumers are willing to go with you with 365 day ideas. Every day you can have a different idea. The concept is, can you capture the imagination of the consumer for that one day? In that sense, is it a fleeting world? Almost certainly yes. But equally, does it give you enormous opportunity to engage every 24 hours? Almost certainly yes. So anything which is topical, as long as the brand has the courage to do it, consumers are willing to accept it and reward you and forgive you. Okay, so brands have moved from being interrupters of content to being creators of content. Okay, this is going to be a big shift in creating the experience for brands this decade. Next, if you look at the various brands, FMCG brands typically tend to innovate around an event. We would try to innovate around IPL, somebody will try to innovate around the World Cup, somebody will try to innovate around his or her brand, on courage, mountaineering, events, drive, all kinds of things. Essentially sponsorships. Okay? Most FMCG brands do that. Okay? So that's the way they do it. Most service brands innovate around the handling of the service. Because the proof point you need to give for the service brand is continuous. So for example, if you're a operator brand, how do you ensure you have the least number of drop calls, and how do you ensure that the voice clarity is very good? How do you keep communicating that continuously to consumers so that they give you the premium for it? Okay, so it's all around the handling of the service. Technology brands tend to innovate all around the user interface. All around the user interface. And ease of handling is always the big, experience for them. So, first one, very, very clear, sponsorships. Second one, very, very clear, people. And here's where is the big difference of the future. In the past, we've standardized everything. When you come to experiences, you cannot standardize anything. You standardize a base, and then you allow the empowerment of the individual or the system to delight the consumer. So standardization doesn't help if you want to be a great experience brand. And this is something that senior management teams really need to get hold of. And you have to accept that there will be some mistakes in the way somebody will deliver that experience. That's okay. That's absolutely fine. But if you don't empower people, you don't train people, you'll have a problem. Best example I can give you is go to the airline desks today. Some airline desks are terrible in the way they treat you. Some airline desks are very good. The difference is not the airline, the difference is not the time. The difference is the people and the way they deal with you. You can get bumped off if you're late, but some people do it better than the others. By not quoting rules, but being considerate and understanding of your plight. And I think all of experience is about people. If you do not have the right people, you do not invest in the right people, you will not have an experience around your brand. Okay? And that's where standardization is good, but investment in people and empowerment is far more important in an experience brand. And my last point, data can be a very big enabler and an experience creator for your consumers. Everybody's been talking about big data. You will see a lot of that. The amount of data that we'll have about consumers and what they do at any point of the time, day or night, will be humongous, not ordinary. Imagine somebody, let's take checking into a hotel in London. Let's take a Chinese businessman is checking into a hotel in London. Today, big data allows you to know whether he's a Manchester United fan, he's a Chelsea fan, he's an Aston Villa fan. Okay, it tells you which Broadway shows he's gone to. Okay, all based on simple payment mechanisms. Nothing else. Simple payment mechanisms, you can cross-tab the whole thing. And the hotel can deliver a service to him in the next 3 days based on that. That's all. They can tell him, hey, you're a great Manchester United fan. Manchester United is playing this day. Do you want a ticket? Can we do something for you? Okay. Funnily enough, the physical brands are moving to experience. The sports brands have already moved into experience a long time ago. Manchester United is a good example. They brand their Old Trafford Stadium the Theatre of Dreams. Okay, they've already created the experience for you. Okay, so big data will be a huge enabler for experience, and we will see a lot more of that. What implication does this have on companies such as yourself or companies such as mine? I think we'll see a future marketing department start with more data scientists. Because you really have to make a sense of all the billions of data points that you're going to have. Okay, so like Nate Silver, the guy who predicted the last 2 elections in America, you will find more data scientists in your team. Equally, the marketing department, be it in your company or my company, has to be responsive, has to be humble, and has to orchestrate the response for the consumer in double quick time. There will be a premium on speed in an experience world. So it's not about people are just going to wait for it. Okay, you have to be very, very responsive and deliver that to the consumers. So this is what I would say were my 10 thoughts. So in summary, I would say, we live in an attention economy. Experience is key. Experience is based on emotions. Experience is based on meaning. And you have to create the meaning in the experience and not just a commodity experience. Okay? We live in a mobile-first world. We live in a social world. Okay? The word of the consumer, the voice of the consumer matters today far more than anything else. I've seen many brands not responding for 3 days getting killed. I've seen many celebrities not responding getting killed. Okay, so you really have to be on the ball, have the pulse on the consumer voice as you do this thing. So finally, experience is a set of emotions. Every time you get your experience up, you get more loyalty and your costs go down. So that's what I would say.